right. Everybody fasten your seatbelts. We're about to get into some serious stuff here. In finding myself, in finding out who I am as a person, I found out that I could really enjoy sex. And that sex would become very important to me. The women in here are thinking, oh dear God, make him stop. The women in here are thinking, oh dear God, make him stop. Do not let this little wheelchair man start talking about sex. Does he have a mute button? I promise, I'll be quick. That joke never gets. I'm told that you only receive one lecture during their entire program on this subject. That is so wrong. And I conveniently know the professor that does that lecture. I'm trying to convince him to let me come give that lecture. That would be one lecture you'd never, ever, 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 ever forget. Whether or not we try to avoid it like the plague, it is of paramount importance. It could be an 85-year-old man that just broke his hip and is in a nursing home. He might not like talking to his wife all that much, but I bet he misses something else. Or it could be a 19-year-old kid who has been conditioned to think that he is not even a sexual being, that he has absolutely nothing to offer a woman. That speech pathologist who treated me like any other guy, who showed me innocent, unselfish affection. She made me question myself in a good way. Maybe I wasn't such a horribly disgusting little troll. Maybe there would be someone out there who could possibly find me truly attractive, maybe even sexy. It seems so basic for most people, but that was a serious revelation for me. That single concept, more than all the therapy and all the training I received, propelled me to be the strong, confident person I am today. It sounds very shallow, but there is a very deep, primal need to feel attractive, wanted, physically needed, in a very intimate way. And it makes no difference whether or not I am in a wheelchair, whether I'm paralyzed, whether I'm missing a limb, or whether I can't talk normally. I, as a person with a disability, as a man, need to feel sexually attractive to someone. Okay, what does this mean for you? When you first saw me, what did you think about me? You probably started diagnosing me. Let's see, he has CP, spastic, very high tone, looks like knee contractures. Maybe you even noticed that my left wrist is fused. How many of you saw me as just another man? How many of you saw me as a strong, virile, powerful man? How many of us assumed that I was a weightlifter? Why not? Goes back to that perfect image. We let society tell us what's attractive, hot, or sexy, right? When people see me for the first time, especially women, they never see me as a sexual man. That is the absolute last thing they think about. And consciously, or unconsciously, that is how women choose their mate. If a man is big, strong, good looking, he's a potential mate. I met my wife online in a chat room. I asked her one day if she had met me in the real world, would she have given me a chance? She started crying because she had to say no. That's human nature, I think. Is it unfair? Absolutely. I'm going to demonstrate my point. Right now, I'm going to need a female to assist me in a little demonstration, and I get to pick the one I want. Now, who do I want? Will you help me?
Me? Me? Of course.
Just as a side note, how much confidence would it take to approach a woman who is this beautiful? Please keep in mind, this is just from my personal experience. This may not be the case universally. And I don't know if it applies to women in my situation either. Okay, for this demonstration, you're not in the rehab field. You have no experience with people with disabilities. You're just the average hottie off the street.
Okay.
That didn't come out right either. Anyway, over here you have a normal able-bodied woman. And over here, you have a guy with a severe disability, cerebral palsy, spina bifida, muscular dystrophy, whatever. Any kind of disability that makes you look deformed. Because why? We always judge people first on, not necessarily on their appearance, but on our opinion of their appearance. This is not the case if a guy is, say, a paraplegic. It could be some little boy band reject that got in an accident. He's disabled, in a wheelchair, but he's still a pretty boy. It would still be difficult for him, but nowhere near as hard as for someone with a severe physical deformity. If I meet this beautiful young lady out in the real world, there is a gulf or a chasm between us. That gulf is simply my appearance, and what it supposedly represents. I don't care if I'm sitting this close to her. There is still an emotional, a psychological barrier between us. In her mind, I'm not a man. My appearance represents someone who's basically a charity case. My appearance represents someone who constantly needs help. My appearance represents someone to be pitied. And she thinks I'm probably not even aware of my surroundings, or that I just parked way too close to her. Any ladies want to date someone like that? She isn't aware that behind the seemingly restrictive computer, cumbersome wheelchair, and this abnormal body, that there is actually a man. She doesn't understand to wait for me to type out what I want to say. All she knows is this little retarded guy has just parked his wheelchair way too close to her. She isn't going to sit there long enough to figure out that I am in fact typing an intelligent message to her. And I don't mean, what color underwear are you wearing? Please don't tell me what color underwear. That might be a little awkward. But with that said, this may sound totally stupid to you, but from my experience, the only thing that bridges that gap is if this woman finds out that this little handicapped guy can't have sex. All of a sudden, she is thinking of me in a totally different light. Just as an observation, even now, every woman in here, your facial expressions, your eye contact, your body language, your energy have all changed. And I changed almost instantaneously from a little helpless crippled guy in a wheelchair. Now, at the very least, she either wants to know more about me or she is disgusted by the very thought. At least I have a 50-50 chance. If she chooses to entertain the idea of sex with a guy with a disability, she becomes very curious, and there is nothing more attractive or addictive than a curious woman. In her mind, that opens up a whole world of possibilities. If he can have sex, he might have a job. He might be romantic, intelligent, funny, strong, sensitive. He might want to get married. He might want to have children, and will they be like him? It's pretty crazy that that whole line of thinking all comes from sex. That allows me to come over here and be close to her in every way. She's no longer turned off by my wheelchair or my Dynavox. I'm now a good, different. I can sit here and make her laugh. Hey, how you doing? She's now going to smell me, and trust me, I smell really, really good. She's now free to sense my confidence, my energy level, my interest in her. Over here, I couldn't do that because she only saw her preconceptions. She didn't see my sense of humor. She wasn't aware that I am, as my wife says, ridiculously intelligent. She didn't see my masculinity because, hell, she didn't think I had any. But here's the problem, and I never recommend doing this. Seriously, don't try this. And I apologize ahead of time. Wait for it. Hi, my name is Johnny, and if you have sex with me, your screams of ecstasy will crack the very sky above you. Hi, my name is Johnny, and your screams of ecstasy will crack the very sky above you.
That is confidence.
It's a pretty good line, just not the best opener. This conversation is going to end rather rapidly. You see the dilemma. For guys like me, most women won't consider us until they find out that we are actually men, that we have a masculinity, that we are sexual. But if we try telling them that in order to keep them from running away, it freaks them out and destroys any possibility of relationship. So guys like me are forced to meet women online. Online, this whole thing with the gulf and trying to bridge that gulf is irrelevant. She can't see me. There's a convenient little wall between us. I can be as funny, as wit, as romantic, and as intelligent as I want without worrying about convincing her of my manhood. And when I choose, I can tell her of my disability. If she decides to bail out, that's fine. But I can't show her the real me before she has to face the disability. It is unfortunate, but initially, the woman has to overlook, ignore, and endure my disability, rather than respect, embrace, and enjoy it. Thank you so much for your help.
You're welcome.
things here concerning sex. Some curious people will want to know about the logistics of sex with disabilities. There's really no magic formula. It's basically about experimentation and having a lot of fun. There might be a pillow over here, or the person may need help into a particular position. I used to tell people that it's not that different, but it really is. I think it's more involved, a lot more patience, not so much conquering involved. It's just a very different feel to it, no pun intended. And the last thing, I would assume that this would be the case for anyone with spastic cerebral palsy. But for me personally, having an orgasm is better than any muscle relaxer on the market. Why did every female in here just turn really, really red? If you can get past the grossness factor, it makes perfect sense. Every muscle tenses up for, I don't know, 10-15 seconds, and there's a big release. And yes, that's my orgasm face. The effects can last for hours. Less spasticity, more fluidity, clearer speech, and I end up sleeping like a baby. For me, it's the best cardio ever. 20-30 minutes of sex is far more effective than a treadmill. That probably sounded like I was bragging. Oops. Which brings me to another point. Most people think people like me can only just lay there. The other person has to do all the work. That couldn't be further from the truth. And that's probably another apprehension women have with guys with disabilities. They think it would be a one-way street in the bedroom. And that's simply not the case whatsoever. My wife probably wants to hide under her chair right about now. But I don't think it's something to be ashamed of. It's one of the best parts of life. And life is too short to be preoccupied with what other people think.